Hi everyone. Today we did try to go a little bit higher, but now this looks like a double top, and look at that sell into the after hours. Everything looks terrible, but let's take a look at all of the charts and see if we can find anything different for tomorrow. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. So Nvidia says it will record a $5.5 billion charge tied to these H2 processors exported to China. So huge hit to the company. This is going to be a quarterly charge. And the stock slid almost 5% in the after hours, and it's actually down more than that. You can see 6.3% in the after hours. Absolutely terrible. And now you can see here, April 9th, Nvidia had to file for a license to export these chips to China and a handful of other countries. And this was a chip that was generated specifically for China. It generated an estimated $12 billion in revenue, or potentially as high as $15 billion in 2024. So really strong growth and earnings for the company, but now we are seeing this being restricted, and that's obviously going to be a massive hit. And of course, this is being driven by the DeepSeek AI model that ran off of these chips, which was much more capable than was previously thought to be possible based on these specific kinds of chips. Overall, not good for Nvidia, not good for the Nasdaq, and likely not good for semiconductors as a whole. Moving over to Fear and Greed, we finished at a 19 from a 19, so we didn't move today. I honestly expected to see a little bit of a step down, but we just did not get that here today. So overall, we ended up flat. Still extreme fear across all of the major indicators. Volatility did not move, and then junk bonds did not move at all. So really very little movement here for today. Again, historically, good time to buy, but right now, I just don't believe it until we get a little bit more clarity on things like the chip announcement that we just talked about. Moving over to the economic calendar here for today, you can see there wasn't really a whole lot of anything. Some negative numbers on imports, exports, not great. But tomorrow we get the retail sales data. That's going to be very interesting. 20-year bond auction. These have been more interesting recently. Want to see these yields come in a little bit lower. We also have FedPal speaking, but retail sales, that's the big one. Want to see a really strong number. 1.4 is a nice step up from the previous, so expectations are a little bit high in my opinion. And then for the Thursday here, you have initial jobless claims, Philly Fed manufacturing, ECB decision point, and then 5-year tips. Moving over to the charts, we ended up down here about 0.25%, nothing crazy. We're right here at the same level, same low as Thursday. You got VWAP there as well at 536.11, so we're right at the lows from here in September. This is an important zone. If it does break, we could absolutely go back to 513 or even as far as the lows back here in this kind of 480 to 490 range. That could be interesting, but structurally the move today did not look very good. And then we got that after hours price action with the selling with Nvidia that we just talked about, and that is dragging down the broader market here. Overall, technically as well, it just looks like a double top, right? You have a clean top here through wicks to that same level, slightly lower on the wicks, and then we broke back below the 21 on the hourly, broke the level here 535.72. So structurally this looks bearish, momentum bearish, RSI bearish. You do have a level 531.47. If that goes 524.84 makes sense for me. You got the 144 EMA down there, which again could absolutely see this fall through to here. Then we'll see what happens. Either way, for me, this does look bearish going into tomorrow's session. Moving over to the Tasty charts here on the 4-hour, you can see how we rejected from that 89 area. We're below the 55, below the 8 EMA. You still have some support there from the 34. That is at 531.51, right in line with that same level that we talked about. If this goes, then you have the trailing stop there at 514.26. And realistically, this does look like a topping pattern. Strong top, rejection, held the higher low, tested that same zone, and then you had kind of a mini double top inside of that, and now it looks like we're getting ready to sell here into tomorrow's session. So really no change from yesterday's thesis. Moving over to the Nasdaq here on the daily chart, it was up about 50 cents or 0.11%, but in terms of levels, 459.02 was resistance once again through wicks to that zone, 21 EMA resistance as well. Still closed below it, and then again in the after hours we're getting big selling. Momentum still a little bit bullish, but it's really not holding that structure. Can't seem to get above the level here, and then you can see it on the hourly chart. Wick to the trend again. Tried to test it here, today, couldn't do it, and then rejected back below it at the end of the session, and then after hours, big down moves, over 1% down. 200 there is support at 449.78. Let's go ahead and put an indicator there. We'll see if we could get a touch. Otherwise, realistically, your next level is going to be this 446.60 area. If we can get back above this consolidation in here, maybe we can break this structure up here. But again, technically, this just does not look good. With this high, lower high, structural breakdown below that 55 EMA, momentum bearish. And then if this zone breaks here, my next level is all the way down at 432. You do have some trend support in here around the 438 area, but I think 432 would be back in play if we did see that 144 break. And then looking at the NASDAQ, similar thesis to the SPY charts. Hit that 89 EMA on the 4-hour chart, rejected from there multiple times. The level today was 461.75, rejected from there. Big sell on that last candle. 34 EMA is support at 450.73. Maybe it holds in here, but again, I think we'll probably retest that trailing stop all the way down at the 433 area. That will be interesting. And that would also take you in line with this kind of midpoint on this double bottom where we saw the nice push there. Can we come down and test that area? I think that's certainly a possibility. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow. The Russell on the day did end up slightly positive, about 20 cents, through a wick to the level 189. High of day was 189.05. Momentum still stepping to bullish. RSI still stepping to bullish, but we just can't seem to get above these levels here. So we threw a wick to the level, rejected from there. Momentum maybe saying we can go again, but your support right now, 185.63. If that breaks down like everything looks like it might, then we could be looking for the next level here, 183, or as low as this kind of consolidation midpoint, 179.17. Dow was actually negative on the day, almost 0.5%, down about $1.70. 404.47 broke. Now we're headed down to VWAP, maybe the next level, 398.76. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish. And the fact that momentum does continue to swing to the bull side and price action is not, really is telling me that this is a bearish structure and that we should be looking for a little bit more downside. Moving over to the Mag 7, forgot to talk about this one yesterday, but it was a down day yesterday. Tried to go higher, hit the 21, sold off back below 265, held below 265, structurally still in this kind of consolidation range. Support is 249.41. I would guess that we're going to get a test of that level. Does it hold a higher low? That's still a question, but I think we're going to go here, touch that level, and then potentially find support or not. That would take us back to that same September low that we talked about on the SPY and the NASDAQ charts. Moving over to Apple and Microsoft. Apple basically unchanged on the day, same structure. Support is still 199, resistance still 207, momentum still stepping to bullish, but really no follow through on that. And then just looking at the 1 hour here, I just want to highlight we did get a big down candle of about 1%. So also continuing to fall in the after hours. Even though it's not really part of that Nvidia announcement, it seems like that's dragging down the broader markets to some capacity. And then looking at Microsoft, same thesis, down about 0.5%. Did get back below 388.03. We closed pretty much on it yesterday, closed well below it here today. Momentum probably going to step back to bullish tomorrow, which then would mean we're probably going to head back to at least 372, 378 is your current support. Moving over to Tesla and Nvidia. Tesla continues to hold up really, really well in this same consolidation that we've been in. Support continues to be the highly traded zone around that 248.50 area. And then you can see Nvidia was up 1.35%. Let's go ahead and go to the 1 hour chart. You can see gave all of that back here, down 6% on that announcement candle, back below 106.64. If this zone breaks 95, look out below. You're in the same consolidation. It is oversold already, but again, this is a fundamental change to the thesis for Nvidia, and I would expect this probably goes to 95 tomorrow. Then we'll see what happens. Can we go as low as the previous lows? Certainly possible, but 95 is my next support. Moving over to Amazon and Alphabet, both of these look pretty terrible here today, 1.39 and 1.73%. You can see the consolidation low. We're at that low. We're already below the level 181.41 on Amazon. Next level is 174. Same here on Alphabet. Rallied up, retested the trend. Are we going to get the rejection from there? It seems like we will. Tested the 161.59 level yesterday, held at it, opened there today, sold from there. So structurally, it seems like both of these are set to go lower tomorrow. Moving over to staples and discretionaries, everything was down here today. So a little bit of everything selling, 0.84 and 0.72, sold about the same amount. Trend continues to be resistance. 81.85 was the level. We tested it yesterday, opened at it, and closed well below it. So if you were watching this level, clean rejection, you could argue for a short trade from there. And then you got discretionaries selling below 189.38. Looking for that push to the next 185.36. Momentum, again, on both of these is bullish, but we're seeing selling price action. So when the indicator shows bullishness, but the price action shows bearish, that is a weak price action, and we should be expecting more selling, in my opinion. Moving over to breadth. Breadth showed weakness, just like we kind of expected that it might. We talked about some zones where we could get to. This was the first major resistance. If we got into the 50s, I thought that would probably be the top, but it seems like we're going to reject a little bit early from that area, and then we'll see some bigger sells, in my opinion. And then same here on 50, right at the level 26.39. Usually this is not a zone where you find resistance so quickly. We did go very, very low, obviously, and it is a nice rally from there to here and then sell. But usually when you get pushes this low, which to be honest is not that often, we do usually see a pretty substantial bounce. And the fact that we are not seeing that here, even after that really deep low, again for me, says markets just really want to sell. We were supremely oversold. We've had a pullback in time, a little bit of a pullback in price. And for me, I just think this is going to sell some more here over the next couple days. Do we survive expiration week? Possibly. Next couple weeks, there's going to be less of a safety net. So looks even more bearish for those, in my opinion. Moving over to the dollar continues to kind of consolidate in here. It looked like it was going to sell pretty aggressive, and then we ended up getting a little bit of a pop here mid-session. So far, all of that has sold back off, and we're back below the level 99.83. Not by much, but a little. Momentum bearish. Is this going to continue lower here? Maybe. For now, we're in a consolidation with no clear direction, and this would make the fourth day in this same zone. So we got here on Friday last week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, this would be that fourth day. So we'll see. We'll see if this zone ends up holding or not. Right now, it still is. Moving over to bonds. Bonds got a nice little pop, up 1/3% on pretty much both of these. Continues to be a nice buying opportunity. Continue to believe this is going to go higher over the medium term. Short term may remain a little bit choppy here, but expecting this to drift higher, in my opinion. Momentum on both of these stepping towards bullish. So far, price action is going with that, so should be good for now. And then lastly here, the VIX continues to hold in this same consolidation. I think we're probably going to get a higher low here. This was a zone of support. We talked about it. You had the high here as well if you're looking at this from the technical perspective. The VIX doesn't always do that, but it seems like it is here. So you have the level 28.89, the high here, consolidation, candle of indecision. Seems like we're probably going to get a little bit of a pop off of that, just based on market structure and based off of the VIX here. So looks like this is projecting a zone of support for the VIX. Moving over to my accounts, I ended up making about $130 on the day, which was good. You can see SPY was down, NASDAQ very slightly positive, and I was pretty much in line with markets. And then you can see this selling after hours, about $6, a little more than $6. Obviously, I didn't participate in any of that, so overall good. Again, no positions. I just don't like holding things in these really choppy markets. There's clearly no trend. If I was going to pick a direction, it was going to be bearish, and I really did almost hold something bearish, but we did see some really interesting whipsaw style price action in the last kind of 15 minutes of the market as that news seemed to be leaking out into the markets through wicks in both directions, and I just didn't feel comfortable. So again, it's okay to be out of the market. I'm trading intraday, which is fine. You can see quite a few day trades here today. A lot of trading to only make about $130, but either way, outperforming the market on the day. $130 is more than 50 cents for 200 shares, so that was good. And then I did not participate in the down move, so that's good as well. Overall thesis, though, continuing to look a little bit bearish in my opinion. Let me know down in the comment section what you think of the Nvidia news. Is it going to drag down the entire markets, or is it a marginal impact and we're just seeing it kind of magnified because it is in the after hours? Let me know. Otherwise, like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.